Sit down, everybody.
Tonight, President Trump publicly holding his fire amid a mounting feud with his former top aide, Steve Bannon.
I don't know, he called me a great man last night, so, he obviously changed his tune pretty quick. I don't talk to him. That's just a misnomer.
Bannon playing cleanup on his radio show.
The President of the United States is a great man. I support him day in and day out.
But behind the scenes, the president still fuming, according to several aides, after Bannon questioned the president's grasp of policy in the new book, Fire and Fury, and even accused Mr. Trump's son and son-in-law of treason for meeting with a Russian lawyer during the campaign. On Wednesday, the president excoriated Bannon, saying he'd lost his mind. Now, the president's legal team is threatening to sue Bannon, the book's author, and the publisher, the White House lashing out.
There are numerous mistakes, but I'm not going to waste my time or the country's time going page by page talking about a book that's complete fantasy and just full of tabloid gossip.
But tonight, new shockwaves after author Michael Wolff raised questions about the president's mental fitness in an article in The Hollywood Reporter, writing the president repeats himself. Everybody was painfully aware of the increasing pace of his repetitions. The White House defiant.
It's disgraceful and laughable. If he was unfit, he probably wouldn't be sitting there and wouldn't have defeated the most qualified group of candidates the Republican Party has ever seen.
And tonight, growing questions about whether Steve Bannon is losing his influence as a number of Republicans are siding with Mr. Trump. The White House asked if Bannon should be fired from conservative media outlet Breitbart News.
Something they should look at and consider.
And while Bannon hasn't disputed any of his quotes in the book, a number of other former Trump aides have said they were misquoted. But tonight, the author and publisher say they stand by the account.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.